Hey, man, what a weekend, man. It was crazy. Good morning, gentlemen. My question to you is, are you
on the ball? I am on the ball this morning. So I'm definitely feeling extra on the ball this morning because I got back to Roar Station for the first time in a month. So I got to get a kick-ass workout in this morning. So that felt really good. But it was a great weekend of celebrations, of great wins, of craziness happening and going on, and excited to talk about it and be back on the Nudelberg Daily Huddle for another great week ahead.
I agree. It is. It's going to be an extra special week because Wednesday morning
You're taking a vacation.
I'm actually taking a real vacation, which Shay so nicely reminded me has been a long time. Well, for me, I always pack. When I travel for business, I put a couple days before and a couple days after, but it's been a while since I took a dedicated trip. So super excited. I sort of have a little bit of marshmallow head. It's like, all right, let's get this thing going. But a couple of great things happened this weekend. Sometimes you get the opportunity to be in a place where I always say, be where your feet are, soak it in. I got to celebrate with Lori Salarillo and Patrick Salarillo and Mike DeLuca. We got to celebrate Patrick's 30th birthday.
That's so awesome.
It was a tremendous room of love. I mean,
he looks fantastic. Look at him.
So first of all, we have this long-standing friendship, and I just love it. He was excited that I was there. People kept coming in, that drinks. It was a beautiful setup. And then they had a ceremony. Lori took the microphone, and, Lori does great on the microphone, but Patrick took the microphone and sang New York, New York.
Oh, man.
I got to tell you, I don't think there was a dry eye in the place.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's fantastic.
It was really, 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 really fantastic. And thank you to all the people that were there for allowing me to be part of that. It was super special.
What a feel-good moment.
Shout out. So that was Friday night. Then Saturday night, my favorite restaurant. And when I tell you my favorite restaurant, I have 30 years worth of memories there, validated by my man Vincenzo, hugging, talking. They are closing Thursday. So
Runway 84, Anthony's Runway 84 for those of you.
It's Anthony's Runway 84. It was unbelievable. Mark, every single table was celebrating a special occasion. They came out with all of the fireworks. It was unbelievable, one after the other. Saw some folks there that I knew, obviously, but Vincenzo and I were like sort of in this melancholy, sort of cool mood. He came, he sat with us for a little while. I got his number. He and I are going to go, get drinks. But I got good news because here I was so sad. He gave me an update on what's happening. They'll be closed to October. The name will remain Runway. It will no longer be Anthony's Runway. And their same menu, a lot of the same people. Cindy, shout out to Cindy, our bartender, who is amazing. She's fantastic, so cool. So anyway, just good stuff.
So that's why I said it's kind of like an end of an era, because it is an end of an era. Like it's not going to be the same, even though the food may be the same and the employees may be the same. It's going to feel different. It's going to look different. So it is the end of an era in some sort, but glad to hear that there will be some good things carrying on, like the, cauliflower rigatoni.
That's what I had. I had chicken parm. We loaded up. So it was great. And then finally, just before we get going, Friday's show got a lot of traction. There was lots of good stuff. Shout out to Ben Drum, who's a huddler right from the get-go. He said, love the message today on the huddle. I speak to my kids all the time about how critical networking is for their future, yada, yada, yada. God bless the Nudelberg family and all they do.
Shout out Ben Drum.
If anybody wants to know why we do this and why we get up, or every night we're doing, writing the show, that is the reason why. What a community. Thank you, Ben. Let's get to Wake Up Music because we got tons of stuff. If you're an underdog, you want to stay tuned today.
Great show for you.
What a weekend, man. Let's go.
Wake up, everybody. wake up. Come on, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more back to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on now.
So Shelby may have seen you at the gym this morning.
I love it. Absolutely. So Shelby may have been in my group kicking my ass this morning, I believe.
Is that the new guy you were talking about?
Yes. Unbelievable, Shelby. This is absolutely hilarious. I don't know how this works, but Shelby was in my group this morning. I was telling my dad, I was like, first day back, I'm tend to be at the top of the class, and he's in my group just absolutely setting the pace. I was like, oh my God, dude. So well done to you, Shelby. Great start to the day. And hopefully I'll see you there tomorrow morning when we can catch up. That's awesome.
Fantastic. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out all of the mothers, including your terrific queen for her first Mother's Day. But I made it my business to hit as many mothers yesterday as I could with a message. So here's a formal huddle shout out to all of the mothers. Thank you for what you do, when you do it, who you do it with, all of that stuff, because none of us are nothing without you. So,
and just a special shout out to the stepmoms out there. I did a real, I made it my point to reach out to stepmoms that I know. Gabby is a stepmom, obviously, to Kai, and that is a tough job. And just very appreciative for anybody who is in a mother role, whether it be stepmom, mom, great mom, whatever it is. You do an unbelievable thing, you do an unbelievable service, and you don't get enough credit.
So I've been called a mother with another thing at the end of it. We'll just slide right through that. So
that's not your kind of day. That's not your day.
It is Motivational Monday. We're going to talk about some underdogs. We're going to talk about motivational words that you can use to stir yourself. So I want to start up with motivational music.
I love it.
It's a start me up kind of day.
Great vibe too. Great video.
I'm going to skip out of order here. I had some other stuff. I want to go right to the weekend in sports, which Saturday was one of those days. I mean, you had soccer, you had tennis, you had cars, you had hockey, basketball, baseball, football. You had it all. But Saturday, you cannot talk about underdogs without talking about Rich Strike.
Rich Strike, who like this, the one quote that I have about this event is stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because this was a horse that wasn't even supposed to be in the race. They had to have a scratch in order for them to even be in the race. And then you get 80-1 odds, and you just unbelievable effort by that horse to get all the way in the back of the pack and pull all the way to the front and inch it out. And just a great story.
It was super fun to watch. It was super fast. They said it was like the fastest race like ever. But there's a couple of ties to the huddle. Andrea Sakonikis.
Yeah, was there.
She had pictures all weekend. It was her bucket list with her husband, Ken. They dressed up. They did it right. good for them. But even in one of her posts, she talks about, the whole underdog mentality that if you don't think you can win, you can't. You don't even get to the starting line. Now, when we were watching it, this horse was fussing around like crazy. It was the last horse in the gate. We made notice, like, he may not even go the race,
Right.
And then afterwards, I don't know if you remember watching the end of the race, he was like biting another horse.
Yeah, he was going berserk.
This is absolutely crazy. But sometimes a horse is inexplicably better from race to race. There was one thing in here. There was on the Kentucky Derby, there was $50 million bet, and only 500,000 was bet on that horse.
80 to 1 odds, man.
Which
Nobody.
1%.
That's right.
And so my friend Rich Rossi, who used to work with the Panthers at Hard Rock and all, I saw him on social media. He actually bet that horse because it was his name. So.
Yeah, I mean, so looking back, like, you look back, in hindsight's 2020, but like barely makes it into the race, has the name Rich Strike. There were a lot of things that said, maybe I should just throw $100 on this 80 to 1 odds. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's worth just taking the shot on this one because, barely gets into the race, has these odds, and has a name like Rich Strike. Just great story. And, have been the underdog in plenty of opportunities in my career. And, focusing on what you can do, not what the odds are, not what other people think. I mean, look at the Sixers. People wrote off the Sixers, after 2 games, and it was like, oh, Embiid is hurt. He's out. There's no way they can win. He comes back. The Heat shoot like shit in 2 straight games, and he makes a significant difference. And now you're looking at a series that's 2-2, and anything is possible.
Anything. So I love what Andrea said is that, what's possible can happen. And you and I both drive each other with what's possible, even if it's never been done before. Friday was Roger Bannister's birthday. Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile in 1968. First human to ever do it. That year, bang, 7 other people did it and stopped the presses. Because the t-shirt.
I gotta give a shout out. I gotta give a shout out to Johnny Earl because the timing of this is incredible. We just ate your pasta like 2 nights ago. Like, I literally just took it out of the cupboard and made it. It was like, we're eating Johnny Cupcakes pasta. So great to see you, Johnny Earl. But I think in that topic of just like what's possible, how do you? Well, never mind. Move on. Go to the next topic because we got a ton of stuff to go.
We had boxing on Saturday as well.
Right.
And, Canelo was like unbeatable. Guess what? He got beat.
So I said this to Jake, size matters, right? Like this is a guy who is up 40 pounds from where he started in his initial boxing career. And it doesn't take anything away from him. He's not an unskilled fighter. He's still not one of the best pound for pound fighters of all time, but he went way out of his weight class, out of his size, out of his world, and ran into a really good boxer. And it was a great fight. I got to watch it, and it was very entertaining. It wasn't that it was just so one-sided. There was just nothing he could do because the other boxer was so disciplined. I mean, it was unbelievable. He stayed in his game plan. He didn't get out of sorts. He never let the emotion of the fight take him over. He stayed disciplined to working the jab, stick the jab, which is something that I've talked about with people all the time. Stay consistent. Stick the jab, stick the jab, stick the jab. And that won him the fight. So it was a great sports weekend and great fight.
I love that you went there because when you talk about discipline, Mike, what's his name?
Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson basically said, discipline is doing what you hate and doing it great.
Right.
So nobody loves doing that, So it was an interesting thing. After the opening round, it was clear that Bivol could do what he wanted because of the size advantage.
Correct. He could keep him on the outside and he could fight his fight, but like Canelo was coming after him the whole fight. So this is where it was a real test of his mental discipline because he was getting hit with shots on his arms. Canelo was antagonizing him, trying to get him to come into Canelo's strategy, and he would not do it. He wouldn't chase him to the ropes. He wouldn't get things that were outside of his game plan and his strategy, and that helped him become more successful. So it's really great.
So switching gears, you had F1 yesterday, and how many stars were there?
Wow, Miami was lit up this weekend. I mean, the who's who of the world were here. But I think the coolest thing I saw was like the greatest of the greatest in one picture. You had Brady, you had Jordan, you had I think it's Lewis Hamilton is the guy.
And why they were there, they were in his paddock. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that group of people, you want to talk about like surround yourself with high achievers, surround yourself with the right kind of people, surround yourself with people who push you to be better. What a group of people there were that were in that group.
Now, I want to give a shout out to my friend, my client, sports marketing guru, Ben Sterner. Go back to the Kentucky Derby. What a weekend for this dude.
Yeah.
They got Progressive to sponsor this horse.
Yeah, jockey with the rich stripes.
So he does that, and then he's in Miami for the F1. So shout out to Ben. Congratulations.
Great weekend.
Your patience for success is admirable because it doesn't always come when you want it. So that's unbelievable. And then you get a 19-year-old phenomenon, and you can speak to this in tennis. This guy came out of nowhere. But
for those of you who don't pay attention to tennis and want to see a sport-changing moment, this is a young guy who has now beaten the top 3 players in the world in 3 consecutive matches to win the tournament that they were in. It's super exciting to see. I was going back and forth with Jake about it. He was like, he's the Tiger Woods. And there's nobody in the game of tennis that's ever done what he's doing. And again, it goes back to, timing, talent meets opportunity. The guy is physically gifted, but he's also got the mentality of an absolute competitor that won't step down, that is not afraid to go challenge the greats and beat them and put himself up there. And it's really cool to see. Alcaraz is going to be somebody who just is going to be the name in tennis.
This is Ben coming in on LinkedIn.
Right.
And Ben moved from Connecticut to Orlando, and he's in the whatever.
Well, if there's somebody you want to trust on talent, Rick Macey is the guy who coached the Serena sisters. And Rick Macey said, there has never been anybody like Carlos Alcaraz. Never. He goes, nobody's ever done it like this guy. So if somebody you want to believe, Rick Macey is the guy to listen to.
I guess. So, there's so much of this underdog mentality. For me, it's all mindset driven.
Yes.
We talk about in business, we talk about in sports, you talk about in entertainment, you talk about in life. It's the ones who have developed the mindset of a winner. So Ben is actually friends with Rick Macey. So
that makes sense. There you go. So I would say this, though. I would say this about mindset and like converting that to business. I read a great article about Mark Cuban.
Time out. Johnny Earl comes in talking about the smell of balls.
Johnny, listen, man. You got time and a place, man. Nobody wants to
know
know how you like to smell.
For those of you who don't know Johnny Earl, it's Johnny Cupcake. It is the coolest line of T-shirts and pasta and novelty stuff. He's one of the best speakers on tour. Shout out to him, man. That's just really funny, man.
Super smart guy when it comes to branding and building a brand and building a business. But so speaking of Mark Cuban, I read a great article about him this morning about, how he became a billionaire by selling his broadcast.com to Yahoo, but then how he's been on this journey, this entrepreneurial journey of looking for the next thing and what he's doing right now against Big Pharma. You want to talk about underdog mentality. You want to talk about mindset of anything is possible. He is challenging all of the norms in that industry to make, pharmacy and pharmaceuticals and drugs accessible and cheap and cutting and breaking the system. If you haven't seen what he's doing, I encourage you to look it up and read about his business because it's revolutionary.
So here's something interesting. So I had other stuff that I wanted to do. Tomorrow will be my last show for a while. I'm gonna take. You're
gonna take Tuesday.
So I have the Cuban thing already queued up. I loved it.
Cool.
So I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about the words that winners use to drive themselves. Self-talk. This is how we can close today. Self-talk is such a tremendous skill set to own. There are 60,000 thoughts that go through the human brain every day. Scientifically said that 90% of them are negative. We talk worse to ourselves than we would generally allow anybody else to, yet most people don't feed that or fight it, and so for me, it's all about, training the brain, putting
discipline.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the idea that, when you hear the story of the guy who trained Rich Strike, the whole world was against him. He wasn't going, I want to win the Kentucky Derby. He did what he needed to do every day. And that outcome came because of that. He didn't go to, I'm not going to win the Kentucky Derby, so I might as well just fuck off. It's like, it's just so different doing it when you don't know what the prize is.
That concept really resonated me because we had been talking about, staying true to the process and discipline to what you're doing daily. That, I think about when we were building championships, or we got on this conversation on Friday about how to define success for prospecting versus defining success for sales. To me, the rewards of the work can't be the end goal. The reward of the work of training Rich Strike can't be winning the Kentucky Derby because you don't know whether or not that's actually going to happen. And there's no way to stay disciplined to the work if the sole reward is months and months down the road. So building in that reward system for yourself, forget about building teams and other people, but what's the reward you're giving yourself? Is it the enjoyment of doing the work? Is it that pure joy and the feeling you get from doing what you do? Or are you finding ways to give yourself a cookie at the end of the day or take a minute here to do something that recharges you? But you've got to have that shot of dopamine to keep you going and bringing you back to the process in order to get that opportunity to win the championship.
For me, especially, so visible on social media, people are like, wow, man, you're really killing it. It's going great, Mike. Like I'm an overnight success. Nobody wants to look at the 40 years of humping it, man. The shit I've been through. When I look back, I'm the most grateful I've ever been because I have gone through so much to appreciate this, and horses like an 80-1 shot can happen. And I heard Steve Harvey say this the other day. Why not me? Right. Why shouldn't it be me?
Right.
And if you don't get up every morning and say, I can have it all, I just got to move towards it. God, there's nothing in the world that'll motivate you. So
I love that.
We are
great way to end the show.
Woo!
Great stuff.
Let's get after it. Get a great day. I'll do tomorrow's show, and then it's yours for the next 12 days. So
let's go.
Boom.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a